So in today's video, I want to share a little bit of a personal journey, but also my observations and experiences of working with many entrepreneurs and business owners over the years. And today's topic is around burnout. Now, yes, we can all acknowledge that there's a level of stress that we have to adapt, and there's a level of difficult situations that we have to absorb, but actually too much of that fuels that stress pot rather than our energy pot and can lead to burnout. So if I think about the sort of stages that I see or I've experienced, is that, we feel that there's this strong need to prove ourselves to other people, to other people's expectations, rather than defining success ourselves. We keep working harder and harder and harder to meet those expectations and to prove ourselves. And what we start to do is then neglect what's important to us. We neglect our own time, our own needs, and that might be our family, our friends, our nutrition, our exercise, our moments of rest and recuperation. And then we start to find a conflict because we're working really hard in the business, we're neglecting all this, we feel conflicted, and we start to blame situations that we're in. And then from there, we start to see our values changing and what's important to us. So our focus changes and we deny that there's problems that arise due to that work stress. And ultimately then it causes us to withdraw. We withdraw from our socials, we withdraw from spending time with our family and friends, we withdraw from networking for our business because our behaviour changes. That then upsets those people that are around us, whether that's our loved ones or whether that's our suppliers, customers, etc. And all this depersonalisation then happens. And what we then have is that we start to feel empty, we feel numb, and we perhaps get depressed, or we get lost, or we get exhausted from trying to do the right thing all the times. And our mentality and our physical ability to perform starts to diminish because of this burnout. So the definition around burnout is that there's a state of emotional or physical and mental exhaustion that's caused by prolonged stress. So what I wanted to share with you, some ways that I found helps me to manage this, to deal with this and avoid burnout. So first of all, it's to acknowledge it, to recognize that talking about it or acknowledging it in the first place, it's okay. It's okay to feel stressed, it's okay to feel overwhelmed, but it's also the first recovery from any burnout. Also to set those boundaries for yourself, so limit your work hours, get better at saying no, particularly to extra tasks, and protect that personal time that's valuable to you. Put the personal time in your diary first, and like I say, prioritise that rest and recuperation. Take breaks. We're not great at taking breaks. Like I say, entrepreneurs, we tend to I can't take a break, I've got so much more to do. I'll eat at my desk, I'll eat in the car. So short, frequent breaks, taking a walk, even doing some deep breathing or something like that can make a huge difference. Delegate more. Again, something that we're not great with or great at as entrepreneurs is to delegate. So think about what it is that you don't need to do, what you can delegate to someone else to do, and lighten your workload. Make sure you practice that self-care. So you engage in activities that you enjoy. That may be your exercises, your hobbies, for example, and spending time with those people that are important to you. I think it's also important to talk about it. So if you feel stressed, you feel overwhelmed, you feel that burnout is potentially impacting yourself, then speak to someone that you trust. It may be a friend, a colleague, or even a therapist. And by just sharing your feelings, I believe you'll find a huge relief and a different perspective on things. Adjust those expectations of yourself. So, one of the things that I say is, we have to be fair with ourselves. Set realistic goals, for example, but also understand perfection isn't always possible and very rarely possible. So be fair to yourself and say, okay, well, what is it that I need to do in reality that I can be fair to myself and I can see what needs to be achieved and is realistic to be achieved. And a big thing for me over the last 12 months especially has been to change the environment that you work in, but also those that are in your environment. And it may be a temporary change of scenery for yourself, and like working in a different type of place, or just taking a vacation holiday. But all these things can refresh your mind, but it may mean that you just need to take yourself totally out of the environment that you're in and avoid the people that were making the environment uncomfortable for you. And then I think there's this whole thing about looking after yourself. Make sure you're getting enough sleep, make sure you're eating well, and making sure that you're exercising. We know the diet, and particularly if we're snacking on the run, that the diet's not going to be fantastic in terms of what's within the foods that we may eat. And if it's things like sugars, we're going to have highs and we're going to have lows. That's going to impact how we feel. If we're not getting enough sleep, and again, different people have different ideas in terms of the amount of sleep that you need, but make sure you're getting a good level of sleep. And one thing that's been mind-blowing for me over the last couple of years is my exercise. And if I'm exercising, I know that it's good for my shape, but it's also good for my mind. And I certainly encourage you to make sure you're embracing your sleep, nutrition and exercise. So as always, I hope my video here has been useful and thought-provoking for you. It's helping you to think about how you may able to manage the stress and the overwhelm that you face day by day, but also that you don't get to the stage of burnout. If I can help you with a conversation, not necessarily about business, but about you, then happy to have that conversation. But if I can help you in any particular way, then give me a shout.